All right. Welcome to Talk About Paint Club, your tri-monthly tangent from the world around you. I'm Rick Strohmeyer, and I'm full of beans.
Now I'm Matt Hattress, and I cry for literally everything.
All right, let's see. Okay, so we are second week of April 2023. Thank you all for tuning
Is
in
it the
live.
second week?
Yeah. Oh no, it's the third. Oh,
I was
oops.
like, no, it's not.
I've already screwed up on the YouTube thing.
We're because
That's
you
right.
know what?
No.
Technically, it's the second week of Paint Club because the first week was Spaceballs Club.
Well, this is true, but
There.
thanks for the save. All right. Spaceballs the podcast. Yeah, okay. No, I'm looking at the 15th going, oh yeah. No. This is the third show of the month. So that means we have 2 dead weeks in a row, which is happens sometimes. Yeah. So we're going to dive right in. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Some stuff left over from last week because even though we went over 2 hours last week, still managed to go down the right tangents to avoid some of the topics, but have a lot of good times talking about what we did. So those are the breaks.
Yeah.
Nicole, what do you?
It's my caffeinated fuel.
Snap into a snapple.
My cat was like freaking out trying to break into the back room here, and I was like, because she this is her area, so when she's not back here, she's like trying to barge through the door, and she like went underneath it. Yeah. Fun fact about Snapple, besides the Snapple facts, my old boss used to be like the chief marketing officer of Snapple, and he like created the Snapple lady. Like he made he made Wendy the Snapple lady, and he like helped with the Snapple facts like becoming a thing, and I always love that because he's fucking genius, obviously.
That's smart.
And then he worked at Voss Water. Okay, whatever.
Oh, quick side note before I talk about water. I couldn't get all the chats to link up tonight, so they are in the YouTube, I think, only. So
I see it.
Okay. No, that's great because like I couldn't get it to link to Facebook. So
yeah. Oh, I see. Dylan from.
I did share it to
Instagram.
Facebook, but I wasn't able to tell Melon to link directly to because for whatever reason it wouldn't let me. But it kind of, but just trying to figure it out in a minute and a half it was just easier to be like push through and not try and troubleshoot. So it's like just cut bait. So yeah, I'm drinking water.
I was like, is that why we're talking about water?
Yeah. So no, I got to have I had half a cider earlier with one of my buddies because we are doing our Lord of the Rings movie marathon this weekend, and
that's right.
And it's weird because like I was like, oh, I'm painting. Last night I was like, oh, I'm painting, blah blah blah. So I'm not going to be drinking. Well, I did paint a bit, but not as much as I imagined, and I didn't paint while we were watching the first Unexpected Journey. But yeah, and then like tonight when we finally had our dinner, I was like, I really want a beer, even though like I know I wanted to paint after the show, and so I ended up having like a tall boy strongbow, and it was like the
Ooh.
last carbonated thing we have in the boozy thing we have in the house. My buddy had the last 2 IPAs last night, and I was like, so I gave him money. I was like, on your way home tonight, pick us up a couple 6-packs for tomorrow. So
is he? Do you pick up tomorrow on your thing?
yeah, so we hit up. We had the Unexpected Journey last night, and then we did the Desolation of Smog and the Battle of Five Armies, and the Fellowship of the Rings today. So boom, 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 and then tomorrow we'll do the Two Towers and Return of the King. So had we not done Paint Club tonight, we would probably be watching the Two Towers right now. But I'm not saying, and I'm not pissy. I'm not pissy about that. I'm just like, I think the most we've ever done is 4.
We all fucking sacrifice things, Richard.
We do. That's fine. Like, I'm not complaining about this.
I'm just being
I've eaten really well for the past 2 days. But yeah, so like I think the most we've done is 4 movies in a day, and that was a very long day.
Giving your tummy and your brain a break is okay, I think.
Yeah, like so. Yeah, like yes. So I cooked everything for food wise yesterday, and we kind of split it halves today, and then tomorrow we're going to split it halves tomorrow too. But it's been really yummy. Like we did. So yesterday, essentially, I made shake and bake because like we were going to do like this pan fried chicken, potato chip pan fried chicken, which is amazing. But Alicia didn't want to smell all the fried stuff for the rest of the night. So she's like, can you do it in the oven? I said yes. And then like I ended up just looking up how to do shake and bake because I was like,
how to make my own shake and bake.
Exactly. And I got to justify having my keeping my food processor for another year because I like all my breadcrumbs and all the ingredients got pulverized to a minute sized particles, which was great because so we had fried chicken or shake and bake, and we had these fondant potatoes where you pan fry them like you would a scallop. You cut them in little like puck sizes. So
they're so good.
They are so amazing. And I do sweet potatoes alongside with them, and the sweet potatoes cook a little faster. They come out better in my opinion. But yeah, so I made a huge pan worth of potatoes, and my buddy and I devoured all the sweet potatoes and helped eat some of the regular potatoes too. And I made donut bread pudding.
Oh, yummy!
What? Yeah. So we had leftover pancakes, and I lined the bottom of the pan with pancakes, and then I used donuts, 2-day-old donuts for the rest of it, and then you make your sauces and stuff to go on.
Yeah.
Mixture and sauces and stuff, and it's amazing. So we had
donut, look at you,
bread pudding, and then today we had we made honey cakes for breakfast, and we had this elaborate charcuterie spread for lunch, and then we had this slow cooked meat and potatoes for dinner, and
yummy,
and fresh onion gravy. Yeah, I'm just like, this is a lot of food. I'm like, oh, food coma time. So yes, so one, yeah.
So yummy.
Today would have been the day to be drinking mead and blah blah blah.
Oh, whatever. You can drink mead and blah 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 tomorrow.
Yeah. So like, I love mead. So, but I was planning on painting after the show, and so yeah.
So water it is.
Water it is. Oh well, no, since I've already had beer.
Yeah, well, has it been long enough though?
In theory, yes. And I might actually go spray some things downstairs, but yeah. I mean, like, I totally don't feel that fucking half cider. Anyway, so quick
and
reminder.
it's half.
Yeah. So the color of the month is uh, what Nicole likes to call flaming Cheeto orange. Um, great color for my wheelhouse, and
It literally, to me, looks exact like the way that it looks like on the wheel. It looks just like what fluorescent red looks like in from like Liquid X or something like that.
that's cool.
I was like, oh,
So
that's so easy. Okay.
so in theory, I could say it's done right there, but no, I have a specific idea for what I'd like to do for that. Excuse me. So we're just going to go jump into what have you been doing lately, and we're going to yield the floor to you because you
Do you
got
want to?
stuff.
Do you want to? Do you want to show the pictures?
I do.
Because then it correlates with what's in my hand.
Oh, there you go. So I got a treat right now. Let's see.
So Nicole has been dying at home because cabin fever is a motherfucker.
Right.
So I've actually been planting also. I've been sitting on my step planting stuff, and because it's legal, my marijuana seeds have in fact started to germinate.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Kapow. What do we got here, Nicole?
Bite Me. Okay, so I did a poll on my Instagram
Uh-huh.
for Eat Me or Bite Me, because I thought Bite Me was a little cheeky. And then funny enough, people were like, Eat Me sounds sexual. And I'm like, well, first of all, that's the actual thing from Alice. So okay. And second, Bite Me doesn't.
Uh-huh.
Like, okay. And then
that is
I
such
did
an old throwback to this to my childhood.
what, Bite Me?
Yeah, totally.
See, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking of cheeky like this. Oh, bite me. And so then I did a poll of like, should it have a bite in it? And then, more people said yes. And then like 3 people said, oh, that should be the Bit Me one. I'm like, bitch, what? Yes, it is.
Yeah, you got
yes, it is.
Oh, that's clever.
Right?
Yeah.
And like I gotta give it to the people who don't just vote, who vote and then say, hey, by the way, because
yeah, that's great.
And no, Dylan, you were not the only one. You were definitely not the only one. There was at least 5 people who were like, Eat Me sounds sexual. And I was like, it's from the movie. And they're like, I haven't seen it in so long. I'm like, doesn't negate that it's from the movie. So that's what I drew up while I don't sleep. So those are stickers coming in, and I'm really excited because I also then there's a flyer for Pride and Art. That will be posted up. I did that while I couldn't sleep either. So that's all the good info and all that. That'll be posted on his Instagram because he's in it, my Instagram, in the group, blah, 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 blah. And then I also made the stuff that's in my hand.
What's in your hand? Let's see. We're gonna. How do I? Oh, come on, damn it!
I like that shit show thing going on.
Well,
that's awesome.
That would be the Wayne White painting that I was referencing to somebody else. Wayne White earlier this. Yeah, my accountant sent me this like, oh, I know somebody who does dime store drawing or painting, does this, blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, I see a lot of people doing that, and
I like cool. It.
Yeah. So Wayne White, I think that shit show was sold for like $10,000.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, someday.
If you've never seen it, I recommend this to everybody, and I think I've done it. Recommended it a few times on this channel or on the show. Wayne White was a puppeteer for Pee-wee's Playhouse and various other things. Art director for Smashing Pumpkins video. A lot of stuff in TV and performing arts. Hell of a painter, and his documentary Beauty is Embarrassing is a fantastic watch. Everybody should check it out.
Beauty is embarrassing.
Beauty is embarrassing. Yeah, it's fun.
And my pen
Uh,
just broke right as
no,
I
no
broke.
spoilers. Yeah, it's fantastic. And yeah, his play on words, it's great. So there we go.
It's embarrassing. I like that.
And
Yeah.
it is not available on Amazon without paying
Boo.
for it. Cheap bastards. All right. So yeah. All right. What else have you? What have you got in your
So,
hand before?
It's now sculpt.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to be making little cookies.
Nice.
I made the sprinkles already from epoxy clay because
Okay.
like I literally am a glutton for punishment where I'm sitting there making like the tiniest little like
Uh-huh.
cut, roll the little rice grain size, roll the little rice grain size. And I was talking to JFO about like the cookie and all that, and I was like, oh, I love the fact that I am a baker because I have cookie cutters, and I just I have like a set that I use specifically for art now, like to get my circles when I did the bubbles and all that, like the outline. And all I did was take one size of the circle, because okay, so the cookie cutters I use, one side is a circle and the other side is the plume, kind of the flower kind of deal here.
Scalloped edges.
Yeah, the scalloped edges. And
Okay.
all I did was use one side, one size for the cookie, one size for the other. Do the tricks and stuff to get it smoothed down, make it look like it's a fondant frosting, and actually like meld it in, all that good stuff. I'm gonna mold it and shit, and make a master paint one. But then like, okay, so while I can't like do anything, right, I have clay in front of me and my iPad. All I ever had access to was my clay and my iPad, and I just kept picking up like the iPad, and I would pick up the clay, and then I'd be like, no. But then you remember I showed you the heart that I finally did. I was like, yeah, I finally did something. So I kind of started doing part of like it's kind of like part of our conjoined thing with Booze and Buddies, kind of not, because this isn't my part of it, but that idea triggered this. So I took my old flat anatomical heart, and I'm starting to make it more full. I am cleaning up my guitar pick.
Okay.
I made a snake. And then it has like the little nosy, so if it has a little nose or whatever, little like those things, I'm gonna put like the tongue
Nostrils.
coming out. Yeah, nostrils. There we go.
It has
nose things.
If you have a nostril, if you have nostrils, you have a nose.
Like a nose, nostril. I can't even think. And just like so like just like this is gonna be bite me. I have a little tablet. I should not put that in my mouth. That's gonna say take me. Like a pill. Take me pill.
Oh.
So I've just been making like little like mini things.
That's funny. Okay.
Like keeping things small, because like I mean, I think the trend lately of like what people have been buying are smaller, smaller, more affordable things. I'm like, okay, well, what can I do that's in my wheelhouse? Well, these are Alice-y. The guitar pick goes with the guitar that I did. So that Devil's Knot and I are gonna have later on this year like a collab with. So I'm like, okay, you can make the guitar picks, whatever. But like then the hearts go with how I do my hearts. So I was like, okay, like you could just keep making these little fucking things as you're sitting here with your foot up in the air.
I don't.
Hey, at least it's productive, right?
No, that's exactly right.
I am so proud of myself. I'm like, look at all that I've done.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's very
for
good.
Someone who never has anything to share. I'm like, not really. And then I planted stuff, like, come on. Oh, and that's like the crazy thing. My tea plants, those things like sprouted like crazy too. And I'm like, we had these weird heat waves for like 2 days, and it was 85 degrees. So all of my like everything was like
Yeah.
all my raspberry bushes are like they're finally popping up, and they look like they're finally like this year I might have a crossbreed next year because I need to get pollinated by the bees. So we'll see because they're finally crossing like at
Ooh.
certain paths. The purple and the yellow are crossing right now, and like they're getting very close to each other, and I think the red one will by the end of the year be close enough to the purple one. And
That's cool.
it'd be nice to have some abstract like raspberries. They'll be my art raspberries.
I had a buddy who like he turned his whole backyard into a pepper garden, and you know he had like a lot of hybrids because he didn't waste any space, and so you had stuff cross pollinating just because they were right next to each other
Yeah.
and doing their thing. So his pepper garden was kind of legendary for our
That's
circle
awesome.
of friends, and yeah, it was great. Um, and somebody said like, "Oh, you should try and sell those peppers to somebody." Blah blah blah. And this guy is so much of a hippie. He's like, "I'm not letting corporate America have any of these things." Like,
I did sell peppers
it'd
one
make you some
time
money,
to a
man.
food truck. I get it, but I like to trade. Like
Right.
one year I did like a trade with my friend like had certain peppers. He had jalapenos and I didn't have jalapenos, but I had fucking like scorpion peppers, and he was like, "Bitch, what?" So he came over and took the scorpion peppers, and I see. I try to make my yard okay. This year, I should say this year, I'm trying to make my yard be something that I will use, not just something other people will use.
Right.
Because I did that for so long. Like I would put like cucumbers in the yard. Yeah, that was for me, but also for like my dad. I would put like the different peppers for my friends, or for like this food, like I was saying, this food truck, this Peruvian food truck, they used these little yellow ají peppers to make their sauce and stuff like that. And I was like, I just can't do it this year. You know, the yard space is so precious, and like, you know, soil and everything is so expensive. And no matter how much like I make my own compost and churn my own stuff and do my like shit costs money. And like I'm doing raised beds this year to help me like prevent you know, like the weeds as much as possible. So I have like 6 tomato plants. But I was like, bet just because I'm making sauce, you know, like it's usable for everybody and myself. The raspberries are for mostly me. And then there's like a lot of pollinators, like tons of pollinators, because you know the environment. And then I have I have like different the tea plants. I have hibiscus. I have lemon, verbena, and I just got butterfly pea tea, which is like blue. And then if you put lemon in it, it turns purple, which is fucking cool as hell.
Oh, that's neat.
And like I've been googling like, can I like grow elderberries in our zone? So because that's really healthy, and like I'm just trying to like really use the space for like myself and for other people, like benefits for other people, because it's like, I mean, if we can grow our own medicine, why the fuck not? Like turmeric capsules, I can grow I could grow the turmeric and just grind it myself. I literally have made like 1,000 capsules before. It's so easy.
That's cool, dude.
Oh, I'm excited this year.
That's cool.
I just need them to put my bed in because, you know, I can't do that.
Right.
Yes, like Frankenbill trading for strawberries, except I won't grow strawberries in my yard because those things fucking catch mold so easy, and I refuse to do it again. I refuse to put myself through that. Nope.
The reference is lost on me, so
Oh, it's these characters in the Last of Us. They traded strawberries,
Oh.
For how like in the apocalyptic times where you trade.
right.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right.
It's also starring Pedro Pascal, our dear, Mandalorian brethren.
Right. All right. So I'm gonna share. So like, I painted shit this week, right? So I have a King Corpse that's very green and that's still downstairs. I have a Hammer Hood that is, yeah, that's the name of it. That is very blue and it is downstairs.
Is that the 1000 piece?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got this guy. I would say 3 hours ago I would have said it's done. And so this is my Decay Boba Fett. Aaron asked me to paint up one so that we can do, or so he can do limited, like a paint edition. See how many limited paint editions you can do of this. So this is the paint master of that, and there'll be pre-orders for this will go up in May the 4th. So yeah, so he was hoping to get
So
this.
like an artist series for it?
No, not an artist series, just like
a hand painted series.
Hand painted. So everyone's going to be painted by will be painted by me. And so yeah, so I got to have a litmus test of how long it took to do this. And yeah, so we got here. We got the black suit Boba Fett. So like with the black undergarments, which I like. I think that comes out cleaner.
I like it like that.
And with the paint, I did a bunch of chipping or like just I stippled in a bunch of highlights for the edges and stuff. Not really chipping per se, or weathering, but just a little wear and tear. This is one of my favorite parts. The head was like, it was just kind of weird to get to try and get that Mandalorian feel. But here's my favorite part. I painted. There we go.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Tatooine, like a sunset Tatooine on both of these flag panels. So you can like the black suit Boba Fett is now
and
like.
There's the two.
Yeah. So. Thank you. So that was this, and
like I said on Log On, the bitch who cries for everything.
I thank you. So, and then I got the boombox to go with it. So like,
stop it. Let me see.
Yeah. So there's the boombox, and I painted it like the ship.
What's PM?
We'll get there in a second.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So I painted this one like the ship because it's all beat up. And it's light gray. It's got that light gray vibe to it. So I roughed it up a little, or a lot, depending on.
Would you say that's an orange or a red? It's hard to tell on the camera.
So it is a really neutralized. It's a neutralized red, so it's got more brown and red in it. Kind of rusty, and then I ended up like doing the chips in, or the edge highlighting with a flesh tone, but added with the base color to just build it up. And the PM is it's because of the shoulder pad. Instead of doing the Banta skull, it stands for Paint Master. So ordering this, walk away with, if this is the only one that sells, somebody gets away with the Paint Master. And depending on the edition, that's the addition will be on the shoulder pad. The addition will be on the boom box.
So if it's an edition of 50, it'll say 50, not the number of whatever of edition.
It says 50. I'm going to smile a lot. No, but we're going to limit it to 20.
Okay, if it's 20, it'll say 20 on it, not like 4. If you're number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they'll all 20.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it'll have that number right there.
Do you know why I really
Um,
love that? Because it makes people less like, oh, I wanted a low number. And it's like, oh my God, like, fuck, did
Right.
you want the toy or did you want the number?
Right. So we got that. And let's see. So I'm going to show the blacklight image of it, and then I'll go back to what I changes, or not in changes, but additions we're going to go with. So we got the window. There it is. There's your pride, blah, blah, blah. All right. So we'll go full screen on that. And then, not there, dummy.
Hey,
Not
friendly
you.
reminder.
Right. Now I've just, my trigger happy fingers have just said, dang it. How do I get out of this?
It just
Welcome
wants you
to-
it just wants you to promote Pride.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So there we go. Now are we showing? No.
Pride and art.
Da, da, da,
Oh,
da.
while that's up, I could just announce another artist. Ghost Fox Boys will be with us.
There we go. Here we go. All right, there we are. Boom.
Shut up.
So yeah,
My
so I managed to get
God.
the green and red over top of the brown and the olive, the camo colored thing, the camo colored green. And yeah, I'm super pleased with that. Like you get to, is that the other? Yeah, so you get to see like you actually get the Boba Fett silhouette in the face. And
So I have a stupid question.
what's up?
If 20 sell, does anybody get the PM?
Oh, sure.
Or will that go back to you? Like
No,
is that number one or is
either
that
Aaron?
like
No, no,
zero?
no. So in the printmaking world, which we're not in, but in the printmaking world, you would if I were a printmaker and I were making an edition, let's say of 11 or 12, the first one that I decided, the first print that I make that I decide is good to go, is the one that everything else is going to be based off of. That would be your artist proof, or what everybody here calls an AP.
And then there's printer proof, right?
And no.
Or wasn't there used to be a PP?
There could be. But so artist proof, that is what everything else is based off of. Then your edition of 12 is based off that artist proof. And in the printmaking world, you're allowed to have an art. There's no limitation on artist proofs that you do. And what that means, but the general rule of thumb is you don't make an art. You make an artist proof after every 10 to make sure that your edition is still solid or consistent. So if you have an edition of 12, in theory, there's 2 artist proofs floating around, but there is no governing board that says you can't make 1 million artist proofs before your edition ends. In the toy world, we call artist proofs for, and they're not, but then it's a little confusing to me that you'd say like, oh no, these are my artist proofs, but you're manipulating them.
You're customizing them.
They're what my printmaking brain would say is those are hand colored editions. That's a hand colored edition.
Yeah, and embellished.
So that would be considered an HCE, hand colored edition. But everybody calls it an artist proof here. And I don't understand. I think I understand why. But I don't get why that conversion has been made. I'm not slamming the market.
It's just funny that you say that. It's so funny. That you say it.
Yeah. So so the Paint Master is what one would make before you send it to the factory to be like, please make it look like this. And then the first thing that they make to get your approval on should be the artist proof. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the first thing that they take a picture of and send back to you say like, what do you think? And you say, that's great. Please make the addition. That piece that they send, that picture they send to you should be the artist proof. All right. Because that's the start of the addition. We'll see where the hate goes from there. But yeah. So on this one, so this is a hand colored edition, and that's what it is. This is the Paint Master for the hand colored edition. And so as of like, what, 4 o'clock, I was like, yeah, this is ready to rock. So a couple changes that I would make, or additions I'm going to make, is that I chose not to do the yellow initially as a neon color. So the shoulder pads and by the feet, I didn't do any neon stuff with. And now I'm going to go, not necessarily they're going to be solid color, but there will be some neon yellow to help move boom, 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 all the way up. And the hazard stripes will get a little bit of neon yellow to them, probably some speckling. It won't be a solid color, neither will the yellow elsewhere.
Just kind of like a transition, like a
Just-
housing transition kind
Just
of
some
thing.
type of yellow patterning to just say like, yes, it is. It's not just like forgotten. I might do some skeleton fingers on the hands to make those actually like be visible. And so it'll be painted with a very very transparent white neon that I have that you won't see it when it'll just be like my pop-up diorama at Martian that was at the show. You won't see that it's actually there until you put the black light on it, and that's great. I'm also going to take the same white and just like spritz a little on the top of the antenna so that has a little bit of glow to it
Oh, nice.
to help move it up higher. And then on the Tatooine landscapes, I want to have like just a little bit of pink coming down from the sky, a little bit of the blue here, so it'll have a little pink, a little blue, give it a little synthwave sunset, and then the twin suns will get a little extra. We'll get a neon spot. They will probably be orange, so or fluorescent red or orange, and boom. And then the PM here will get redone in neon pink. This has antenna that I didn't finish, but they'll get a burned metal look to them.
Ooh.
This little window here will get a little splash of color. These tubes will get a splash of neon there. And it looks like about an hour's extra worth of work, and that's no
It's
big
not
deal.
yeah, so that's not
No, yeah, and it's fine because like the more I troubleshoot on this one, the more streamlined the rest of the edition goes. So that's great, and that's pretty much it. And I have a buddy here who
you started Medusa.
Yeah, I started Medusa. I'm going to get there. I'm getting there.
I'm
Yeah,
the
and I
worst.
have a
I'm
buddy
sorry,
that-
guys.
I have a buddy that's going to help me take some pictures later this week, or he's going to take some pictures for me. Anyway, I'm going to have pictures of that taken, but not by my hand. And then, apparently I didn't put the Medusa in this. I did. There she is. All right. So we'll put that there. And then we've got screen, window, that, share. I shared this on Instagram as the finished piece, or as the final step for the priming. And yeah, I got I got this set up ready to go for paint. This is primed. So yeah.
Oh, I love her.
It's a 1-to-1 scale, as we saw last week when I was making out with it. And yeah, the weather turned super nice to where it was like 65 degrees. Humidity was 30%. And I went outside and I I sanded everything, fit the bolts and fit the pegs and magnets in, and got it good to go.
You made out with it some more.
Yeah, no, it's now toxic, or more toxic. So yeah, it and I had a funny song attached to it on Instagram, which like nobody really appreciated.
I didn't see it. I would
Did I
have.
not show the? Did I not? Did
I would have appreciated it.
did it not make it? Fuck.
I don't know.
In my screen share. There we go. Did that Medusa just not make the show? And I just click around talking about stuff for no reason. Yeah, well, boom, share that, do that. Yeah. So I ended up so I primed it with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors, and I went a little overzealous with the white. That's all right. Once I start airbrushing it, putting in, like, I'd rather it be too pale at this point in time because I can make it darker. It's a lot harder to make it lighter than it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the snakes, I found some cool snakes online as a basis of reference point, and I found you'll love the name of this, the white-lipped island viper. It's blue, so it's blue. It has
That's
a white
cool.
underbelly. It's the right kind of blue for my color palette. I'm like, yeah, we can do that, and then we'll figure out like whatever. So Medusa will probably be like a blue green of some sort, and yeah,
The white lipped.
I should probably be making base colors on it by Monday.
Oh, you're gonna have so much to show us when we come back.
Oh, I hope so. And
I know so.
I hope so. So yeah, it's just busy, and then like next week is the art is my art. Next Saturday is my art battle at is it Finnegan's Brewing Lab in Minneapolis, which is exciting and terrifying at the same time. And the week after is the Make-A-Wish event, and yeah, and then 2 weeks after that, so May 13th, I'll be at Tomodachi and the Mall of America doing a screen printing demo, and probably have toys up for sale there. So busy as hell.
I am so proud of you.
Thank you. It's like, oh my gosh, like wow, there's a lot of shit to do in the next month.
And you were worried about leaving your job.
Still, yeah.
We're manifesting. We're manifesting.
It's not like I'm going back, but yeah, I was worried about leaving it. So yeah, it's just, there we go. It's crazy going nuts. And then like applying for events around here, getting inventory made. And yeah. So I've been doing a lot of laser cutter stuff, and I don't have anything to show for it, but I made a drying rack for stuff because everything's going to be in layers. So I ended up having to make a drying rack so that instead of just leaning stuff against like bookcases and whatnot, bookcases and on the floor and any horizontal surface, I ended up making a rack that'll hold 30 pieces at a time. Because like some of the laser cutter paintings that I'm doing have like 4 or 5 layers of stuff on there. So having a thing that just takes up a foot of floor space instead of all over made more sense. And I just blew through a box of screws in order to do it. But this is like, here. So I took this 2x4. And I ended up just like putting a shit ton of screws, and then after they're painted, my little pieces of masonite just hang out like this on top, so I can have 30 pieces all at one time. So that's pretty handy.
That could also double as a, medieval English torture device.
So yeah. So now it's just like paint, eat, sleep, paint, assemble, do more of that. And it's what's going on. Once I get some of those pieces assembled, I'll be happy to share them here because who knows where they're going to go. Yeah. Oh, so 45 minutes in, and we finally finished what we were talking about, what we've been doing this past week. Just my mold system. All right. So there's stuff to talk about, and it's funny because like I wanted to talk about this last week, but I didn't want it to be tied to one of my projects. But it's because I was watching a thread on Facebook about somebody asking about a dunny. They had a blank 8-inch dunny, and they were asking if it was, and the community was torn about it being a bootleg, and there's a lot of people saying like, oh, it's a bootleg, and there are people saying it's not a bootleg, da, 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 da. And I wanted to talk about identifying bootlegs. And I don't have any visual thing right now. It's going to be a lot of theory and talk and probably some puff and blow, but ideas for that. So, and I didn't feel like weighing in on the on the Facebook thread about whether or not this guy's dunny was a bootleg. So have you ever painted a cause bootleg before, Nicole?
No.
Okay.
Well, I've never bought a bootleg.
Okay. Fair. I have. I've painted a couple for like the misappropriated icons show that Strange Cat Toys has done. And like whenever I paint a platform, I always get a hold of two so I could fuck around with one and find out with the other. And when told, oh, you have to order a bootleg in order to do this, same thing. I ordered two, fucked around with one, sent the other one. I think total I've painted 4 bootleg cause, and it's interesting because you can tell the quality from bootleg to bootleg, how good they are and how much they're bootleg, and you can and like it's like the old days of making a copy of a copy on a VHS, or or Xeroxing a Xerox and Xeroxing that Xerox, and you can see the degeneration. And it may not be a degeneration in the surface per se, but it might be in the creases of the folds, or like sometimes you can tell in the sockets. So I'd like to give a couple of hints, suggestions, and tips on identifying bootlegs. So what I didn't want to do is actually hold up one particular toy and be like, aha, see, this is how we identify a bootleg, because I don't want anybody to say like, well, he's handling bootlegs, or he's saying this one is a bootleg and it's not, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to give a couple identifiers on how you can tell if it's a bootleg, besides just asking a random community on Facebook. And if you do, by all means, if you're in doubt, ask. Like that's, you're going to get 50,000 opinions, and everyone's going to be right and everyone's going to be wrong at the same time. So it's true. Like
I love it when people tag Kozik in. I'm like,
so like everybody's got people have experience in counterfeit toys, and it's unfortunate whether or not you went out of your way to go buy a bootleg for a show, or if it's because somebody tried to pull a fast one on you on eBay, or even in one of the buy sell trade groups that we're all part of. It's just unfortunate. It may be unfortunate that like one person may not have had malice and sold it to somebody else, who then ends up passing it on to somebody else, and blah blah blah. That's the unfortunate thing of counterfeiting, and that's just an unfortunate nature of it. But
That's true.
so that being said, sockets. If you look at the sockets of your toys, like especially if you've had one in your hand and you're holding a new one and you want to question it, go to the one that you know is a production piece, because the sockets should be the same. They should be. If there's variation in it, chances are there's two possibilities, because like Martian, the first version of the Tech 63 that came out had a very stubborn socket for the head.
Oh my
And
god, yes.
and they ended up going from the mushroom tip to a straight socket or straight peg that had a ring in it, and it was super nice to put to undo. And it was a conscious decision that they made to do it. But like on one of the bootleg cars that I had, the feet, they swivel, and that's great. But one of them had the actual, or had an attempted peg with a ring on it. The other one was just straight flashing. So it was just a straight, smooth ass. That would happen now. Yeah, no shit. So yeah, so like the sockets, if they feel different than what a quality joint should be, that's a flag. All right. Your colors, if you're familiar with it and you know what the color should be, and you see an offshoot of it, chances are like somebody down the line has done something to deceive. It's, do not take it as 100% gospel, but colors can have a factor in it. And the feel. So like no dunny should ever. So a Kid Robot vinyl has a very specific feel to it. It's got a little bit of tooth to it. It feels like 1,000 grit sandpaper, but it should never feel like ABS plastic. And so the feel of it should probably be a factor too. And a lot of these are all tactile things that you wouldn't know by seeing a picture on the internet. And like sometimes toys have like multiple parts to it, to where like one toy that I had recently, I was very much questioning if it was a bootleg. So these are the steps that I took to rule it out. Is one, the sockets all looked really good. Okay. So then the color, I ended up questioning the color. And what I did is, before we finished the color, there was a separate piece that was a different material. It is typically a different material because of production, and that felt just right, the same consistency, 100%. And I had an extra piece of that over there, and I was able to just compare it right then and there. But the final thing that ruled it out was that I reached out to the designer, and I was like, hey, did you ever was this ever pulled in this color? And when I got the affirmative answer, I was like, okay, great, and proceeded from there. But like, so the dunny, a lot of people believe that Kid Robot never made blank dunnies. And now that I said that, I'm there, like the internet is going to be screaming at me. I bought a blank dunny on eBay once, and before I thought about giving money, I reached out to Kid Robot, and this is years ago. This is probably 6-7 years ago. I sent them a link to the eBay listing, and I got a message back within a day, and their response to me was pretty good. They said that yes, it's looks like theirs, and the person selling it did include the bottom of the feet, and that's a great place to look too. The bottom of the feet typically has like your person's mark on it, and bootleggers typically don't
Do the
worry
inject,
about
yeah.
that mark. So, and if they do, it tends to look a little fuzzy because it's a copy of a copy. Um, so that might be not be as crisp. So back to the original eBay inquiry, Kid Robot told me that that looked legit, and I followed up with, are you sure I was told that you guys didn't make blanks, and their response to me was they do, because sometimes they would submit Donnies to design competitions or for like design um, exhibits, and so they have blank Dunnies out in the world because when you have like a design exhibition, kind of like what Ethan did with his master, Ethan formerly of Mothership, did for his masters. If you ever saw Ethan's masters exhibition for designer toys, it's really good. Um,
Mm.
if you haven't, we're gonna try and find the link below, or find the link, and we'll try and get that to you. But it's really cool. Like Ethan did a nice job of like curating a designer toy exhibition and talking about designer toys, and it was really nice. So Kid Robot said that they participate in stuff like that, and and it's more likely than not that whoever had their dunny on display decided to sell it on eBay once everything was done, because they were under.
Mm.
So that's fine. Now the buyer I got it from is an online distributor of toys, and a sometimes con goer. So it would be kind of shitty if they sold somebody a counterfeit toy and then you get to actually have contact with that person at a convention. All right. And then the other um, reason I would say that there are blank dunnies in the world is because I've I've owned one that came. I've owned one in some parts that came from Huck G himself. So Kid Robot also would send out blank dunnies to people if they were doing shows for them, or painting up paint
Masters.
masters for
Yeah.
them. So they're not going to send them a production 64 colors and be like, well, you have to strip this first. And no, they're going to give them a pristine canvas. Um, Also, they made, when they were celebrating their gold and silver dunnies, those were blank, but they were gold or silver. But yeah, and that's me splitting hair. But yeah, gold, bootleg or blank dunnies exist, and they exist because artists who were also sent them didn't do their paint masters, got rid of them one way, shape, or form. So like they're rare, but they're not they're rare, but they're not
Non-existent.
non-existent. Thank you. So, but it's that kind of thing, that it's that topic that brought me up to stumble through this topic. And so yeah, and I was just like, well, we can identify those. And like the thing is, and Kid Robot, they engineer their 8-inch dunny heads differently than their 3-inch ones. So like the thing to if you want to compare a platform, if you think you have a bootleg and you want to compare it to one that you have. Make sure they're the right size, the same size, because like the 5-inch dunny versus the 3-inch and the 8-inch, they're all engineered a little different. Um, it's
To
the
work
way
for
it
the
is.
mold and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
and I tell you what, I really wish like a Kid Robot had engineered the Mega Money head to be the same, to come off as easily as the 3 or the 4 or the 7-inch money heads, because those Mega Money heads are a pain in the ass to take off. They're like a 3-inch. They have like such a mushroom shape on socket on them to make sure that they don't fucking move. It's crazy.
It's a little
But yeah,
obnoxious.
so that's me over here talking about bootlegs. Um, but yeah, so like when I say to ask, no artist, no producer is going to not want to talk about that. Like they might be a huge company, and your inquiry might fall through the cracks because of the size of the company or the amount of staff they have. But if you want to legitimately bring up a bootleg question to them, they will more than likely want to answer that because they want to make sure their product isn't being counterfeited.
Yeah.
So, like, they may even ask you, "Where did you get it?" Because they may want to try and cut the head off the serpent. You know, like that's why God invented cease and desist, because of that. So, yeah, like I'd be pissed if somebody like if I found my pups on Alibaba or some shit like that.
Um,
And I would
hell
I
yeah.
would take as much action as I could to make sure that it went down. So
That's
yeah,
why I
so,
have copyright over my like at least my bullet, and I try to
right, but
any kind of
copyright
character.
doesn't copyright doesn't stop somebody from wanting to be a dishonest asshole.
No, but
It just
it'll stop people, at least like art, no offense to our fellow artists, um, people who like to fuck around and find out.
yeah. So like yeah. So that would be those are my those are thoughts on identifying a bootleg.
Now
Um,
I need your opinion on this because
what's that?
I already know where I stand. Do you feel like if someone is making a custom for you, right? Or
Uh-huh.
if someone made a custom in general and
Okay.
they used a bootleg, let's say Bear Brick, because those are fucking bootleg
Yeah.
all the time. Um, do you think that they should be disclosing that it's not a real one?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good. That's where I stand
Absolutely.
too. And I
No,
know
like
people who don't do that, and I'm like, how could you not?
no, I think that's so yeah, I totally think that
Because
that
I feel
needs to
like
be
it's dishonest practice if you're not.
I think it needs to be disclosed because if you want let's say you decide you're going to let's say you bought a James Groman King Corpse from me. All right. The expectation is that's a Groman piece. My expectation to you is it's a Groman piece, and have it turn out to be a bootleg. Well, that fucks everybody. Like that would fuck me if I bought a bootleg piece at at an instinct toy price to buy a bootleg at that price, then to sell it to you with the instinct toy markup. Yeah, and then if you want to sell, then like okay, cool, like all right, the bootlegger, they're free and clear because they got their money from me. And then I can be free and clear because I got my money from you. And then you're fucked because like if you think it's a bootleg, would you want to sell it to somebody else as a bootleg and then just keep that as your own personal secret? Or do you want to be like, hey, let's go back in time and figure this shit out?
I would, hey.
Like that'd be tons of dough. So yeah, like that gets disclosed. Yeah, platforms get disclosed right off the bat for me.
Yeah, because like I said, I know some people who don't, and I'm like, how could you not?
Yeah, no, that to me that's unethical. And it would also be like, why is this King Corpse $400?
So that was the argument, like like, oh, it's not priced like a bear brand. I'm like, that doesn't change that not everyone knows that. Like,
Right.
not everyone knows that. And some people
Right.
buy like a piece, like if they don't, even if they don't know you, or even if they know you. Like, let's say like your friend, like, okay, I'm gonna use Dylan because he's sitting here. Sorry, Dylan, I love you. Dylan don't know shit about anything. If I turned around and said, like, painted a dunny for him, and I was like, this shit is worth like $700, he would have no idea that I'm full of shit.
Right.
As a friend, he would be like, oh my God, I like that piece of art. Or if there's someone walking off the street that's like, oh my God, I know that platform and I like that piece of art.
Right.
Or who don't know that platform, who are just like, oh, that's such a cool pattern. And they're like, oh, $200. What a steal.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Legit cough. All right. Yeah. So like, yeah, I don't see where I would, like, we refer to our customers as collectors. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what are they collecting? They're collecting the toy painted by you. All right. If they don't go out of their way to collect bootlegs, they're paying at $300 for you. And I know a thing or two about a thing or two. You do, and I appreciate that reference. So yeah, but you're paying for the canvas. You're paying for the painter without the right canvas. All right. Like if you have I can't justify not telling somebody it's a bootleg.
Yeah.
Like I can't.
It's just wrong. It's
So,
unethical.
yeah. Like, yeah. I don't want to go down one road. But it's all so like in 3D prints. So like here's the thing. I'm not like, oh, 3D prints, fuck that. No. So I was when I was at the Gift Expo in November, people were asking me if my toys were 3D prints, and I'd say no. And a couple times, like, oh well, it could be cheaper if you did it as a 3D print. I'm like, oh, it could be, but may not. Like, it wouldn't look as good, right? Like, so like, let's say the Siren, the song of this the song of the Siren by Martian Toys. I would not want that as a filament print. Okay.
Oh God, no.
So that a filament print would be cheap.
The cheapest.
Be cheap to do. Okay. A resin print at the same size would probably be as expensive as the vinyl. Okay. I could be wrong. I'm not big into 3D. I'm not big into 3D, but resin seems to be more expensive, and that size, it
is. And then how long your printer runs? It tells you when you go to print something how much it will cost to print.
Sure. And that's for you. It could probably be about $20 worth of resin, but that's probably 5, 6, 10 hours of your time, your print time, to have it actually print out properly.
And something tells me $100
vinyl toy is probably cheaper than getting it resin printed.
It very much is. Especially if you're just buying one.
Okay. So I had to have that conversation a lot about, no, it's not a 3D print, it's a vinyl toy, and explain why. And I would hear it could be cheaper if you did a 3D print. Only if you'd use a shitty 3D printer, and you're lucky. And I'm like, I don't have enough fucking time to invest in the new hobby of 3D printing. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough space. Um,
Yeah, that's been the fun part about this.
so yeah, so colors, sockets, the feel, reaching out. Those are all my things for it. All right, cool. Questions, comments, complaints about that besides the ethical responsive disc. Wow. Okay. If that's weird, I know bootlegs are just bootlegs in general. When people make like Star Wars toys and they take like different things and then they call blah blah blah. Actually, I considered wanting to. I reached out to Dove once upon a time because I wanted to make, and this was years ago, right when the Mandalorian came out, because I didn't like how much retconning they were doing or they were trying to do because they wanted to fix other stories or loopholes. So I had this idea of wanting to put Nelson Mandela's head on a Jango Fett and call it the Mandalorian effect instead of the Mandela effect. And because I thought it was fucking funny, right?
Why haven't you done that?
Because I'm not a sculptor. Um,
I'm so upset about that.
and the startup just like I have a dumb a Photoshop of Nelson Mandela's head on a Jango Fett body, and I've never wanted to go beyond that, but I was like, that's fucking
You
really hits hard. It still does.
you
And like,
need to do it. It's so funny.
and I was like, if I can't get Nelson Mandela, I should try and find like the Morgan Freeman action figure from the old Robin Hood movie and put his head on because he played Nelson Mandela. And but I'm like, but Dove, I'd reach out to Dove of DKE Toys because he knows all the bootleggers.
He knows
And
everything.
it was after Designer Con, and he was like, "Oh yeah, just hit me up after Designer Con, and I'll try and put you into contact with somebody who would think that's a fun project." And it petered out because as funny as an idea as it is, and it may sound like a hit, I don't like doing bootleg things at all. Like like the this Boba Fett Decai is as close or is like one of the few exceptions of me not wanting to touch licensed properties and like fucking and fucking around with bootleg figures just didn't seem right at the time. It still doesn't, but it sounds fucking hilarious to do.
Rick, somebody needs to do it, and you need to either let somebody have that idea or just fucking say, you know what, this is funny. I did it one time. And there's 5 of them. Like,
I suppose.
it's just too funny. Like, you know it's hilarious. You know it's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just like, it's hard to want to pull that trigger, you know? Like, this was easy, and I was trying to convince Aaron. I was like, "Well, I could do a Boba Fett, or would you like this? Would you like that?" And he's like, "You do whichever version you want, and we'll try and sell it." I'm like, ah. Because originally I didn't want to do this. I wanted to do like the Christmas special version of Boba Fett where he's got the baby blue and all those all those all those colors that we saw
Christmas special.
43 years ago or 46 years ago. And I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. And yeah, or like
It's funny that you said that because it's like literally the only time before the Boba Fett show that he was like the only other time besides the movies that he was shown.
yeah.
Because people are like, he was only shown one time. I'm like, correct yourself.
It doesn't, you know, that's how legends are made. Like, but
He's only shown once. No.
but like Ahsoka Troopers. There's a storyline in I think Clone Wars where Ahsoka Tano has clone troopers under her command, and they all paint their helmets to have like the top half to look orange with her face markings on it.
That's cool as shit.
And I was like, should make this the Ahsoka Trooper, just because that show is coming out so damn fast. And I have a 6-inch dragon over there that I may very well paint that just to see how it looks, on whether or not it actually like translates that well. We'll see.
You already know I'm going to encourage the shit out of you to go.
Yeah,
do it, do it.
Thank you.
Because I saw the trailer finally. Do it.
Oh shit. Oh, and heads up for those watching, when we come back in May, please be caught up on Mandalorian, because we'll probably be talking about it.
And if you're not, just don't watch the first episode of May.
Yeah, I will I'll make note that there's spoilers ahead. But yeah, so we will be discussing that. We'll see how accurate Nicole and I were on our guesses of what we expected this season. And right now we're both batting great big ass goose eggs.
So badly.
I might have come close, but oh man, did I still miss. So let's see if we get yeah, I really thought, oh my gosh. All right. We'll talk about it in May. But yeah.
Dylan, shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
No spoilers, but this is by far the worst season. Really?
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
I'm like, it's not bad. It's just because like what I like about it is all the world building. Like we get to see how fucking inept, why the New Republic shot themselves in the foot so freaking bad, and I like that. Like it's the same reason I really liked Andor, is just for all the extra backstory, because backstory is important. Yeah,
it is. Because how many times do you watch a movie or anything and you're like, I wonder why that happened. Why did that happen? Why is he like this? And it's like, you're never gonna know for most of them.
This is our 12th year of Alicia and I doing our Lord of the Rings thing weekend, and we still talk about shit that happens. We're talking about,
how can't you?
Right, and like, so funny part is, like I saw a meme the other day on Facebook, and it's right. Legolas says one line to Frodo in all 3 movies. One thing. Only one thing.
Really?
Yeah, you have my bow. That's the only thing Legolas says to Frodo. Okay?
I never noticed that because he talks about him.
And jokingly, so we were talking about this today, he says one thing to Frodo, he says one thing to Sam, and he says one thing to Merry and Pippin. Not Merry and one thing to Pippin. He says one thing to Merry and Pippin. So of the 4 hobbits, he says 3 lines to them.
So he's a hobbit hater.
Up until like, oh, for this movie, he says 3 things to 4 hobbits. I don't remember what he says to Merry and Pippin in the Two Towers or in Return of the King, if he says anything at all to them, but he never says anything else to Frodo for the rest of the trilogy. Okay. And what I had said to my buddy today, this was also the first weekend we let somebody outside the house come in and watch with us, because I was very much like, you're on a ramen budget right now.
Mm-hmm.
Come on over and eat some good food with us. And the dogs love it. So that's great. Puka has to show him tries to tell him who's in charge for the first 5 minutes that he comes through the door, and whatever. And Munin loves him. So yeah. But so here we are reflecting on the idea that only 3 lines are said to 4 hobbits in this one movie. And I'm like, well, that Tolkien, really good on his history and world building, but he clearly doesn't know how to talk to people. It's like, We ain't had nothing but maggoty bread for 3 stinking days. That's true. You haven't. And the Uruk-hai talk more to Pippin and Merry than Legolas does to the hobbits. All right. Let's think on that.
Once again, like I'm just saying, just might be a little bit of a racist to the hobbits.
We were talking about it the other day too, how like Joss Whedon was really good at making connections with the people that are in whatever group. He's really good at that. Tolkien could have used a little bit of that for writing the story, and Peter Jackson could have used a little bit of that for the adaptation, because I don't know how much Legolas, I don't remember how much Legolas talked in the books to Frodo and Sam, and probably a little bit more than one fucking line, but it might be close. I'll have to, that might be the next audio book to listen to, is the Lord of the Rings. So just fun food for thought.
Food for thought. Did you know how much of a racist Lego is?
Oh, so Dylan says this. So when we get to the Council of Elrond in Fellowship of the Rings, right? So Elrond says, and the world of wizards, elves, and free folk. And he looks right at Gimli when he says free folk. And I'm like, you see that? Dwarves don't even fucking get mentioned. It's, you're just in the others category. So
hey, and in the show, we're starting to learn a little bit of the animosity.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So it's cool. Like, and you know, we're watching this, and you know, it's always fun to watch it, and you see things that, like how Weta designs things, and you can see like how some of that design stuff gets caught or gets adapted, like how they do like some of their equipment, and how like, and just some of the slick movie magic through their practical effects that you do get to see, because not everything got edited out. Like the car. No, I've never seen the fucking car, but there's just some neat things that they do, like the sword that Thorin gets from the troll cave. It's got like that Coke bottle silhouette to it, and it sits in a scabbard. Okay, now because it has that extra contour, that scabbard should be as wide as the widest part on the blade, and that's it, right? So it would not be the shape of the blade, but the scabbard is. But, and how they managed to do this so that it does look like the same silhouette of it, and you can still draw it out, is the side of the scabbard that the blade is on is actually hollow, so it can be pulled out, and that blade actually passes out of the scabbard and into, it cuts out like a little, it cuts out, and you get to see it when he pulls it out, but nobody gives a shit. It's just the best problem solving that they had at the time. It's really cool.
Like, I love that, and no one gives a shit.
Yeah, nobody cares. They're like, wow, they managed to make it look just like this. You see it you see that blade for a split second coming through the scabbard. Nobody gives a shit. It's like, wow, you managed to make this match this and make it work.
But you're wrong.
Amazing. And it's amazing.
You give a shit.
I do give a shit, but not in a negative. No, but I care. I think when you say you give a shit, that's a negative connotation to it. But I care that they did it because it looks good, and it's a positive way of handling it. And like chainmail, a lot of the chainmail that they made, half of it's PVC. So they were cutting PVC pipe into like 1/8 inch rings, so that half the rings in their chainmail was PVC pipe. Because if you've ever made anything chainmail, half your stuff can be closed while you open and close the other half. So you can link. If you think about it just for a regular chain, right? If you were making a regular chain, you could have every other one be a solid ring with no cut to it whatsoever. And you would link each other ring by opening, closing other rings. Make sense?
Yeah.
So they did that with PVC. It makes it
So
made
much
things go
lighter.
it made things go faster and lighter for the stuntmen. And that's great too. And they figured out a way to paint PVC, and other people ended up, and that secret leaked out to the world, and everybody can paint PVC the Weta way.
See, and that's why some secrets in art should not be a secret.
And that's pretty badass too. So yeah. We're going to be on the positive vibe of what makes things good.
Yeah.
All right. So what have you been listening to lately? Because you know what we've been watching.
Okay, so you know how I like my true crime stuff?
Yep.
So I found this girl on YouTube who talks about cults.
Okay.
Do you know how many fucking cults have existed in America?
Oh my gosh, you should find the cult podcast.
It's quite terrifying, first of all, just to let you know how scary it is to find out that there's at least, like, you know, she's only been doing this for a few months and she has at least 10 videos. And I'm like, 10 videos of cults. That's not including all of her true crime ones on top of that. So she, you know, or she's been doing
Right.
it for like a year and a half. I don't know, a while. Like, there's enough for me to watch. And I'm like, the what cult? The what cult? And so like, no lie, when there was one episode she did where it was called the Alamo cult, and I was like, you mean like the Alamo? And then of course I'm like, do you mean Waco? Like, did you get that wrong? And then no, it is talking about a fucking, like, on the art, like one of those first TV church people thingies, you know, or whatever. And they were named like, and they're not Alamo, it's Alamo. And I was like, son of a. So my ass is over here thinking like, hey, there's no, you know, like, what is she, you know, she's crazy, she doesn't have it right. And then I'm the one who's incorrect because, you know, of course there's another fucking goddamn cult. Like, why wouldn't there be and every time I'm like, no. When? Recently? Like 2020 was when the case got solved. Like, there was a recent call at the oh god, what was the fucking school? It's like the Sarah Lawrence, at Sarah Lawrence College.
Okay.
It was like a sex cult. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And the case was like 2012. And I'm like, I'm sorry, they're my age? Like, you know, like, it was students, like, when I was in college. There were cults able to exist, like, that were like
Dude,
that.
have you heard of the Nexium cult?
Well, yeah, but like, so
Yeah.
so besides that, I'm talking about like
Those fuckers just got guilty like within the past couple of years.
yeah, and that the bitch from Smallville is a part of it.
Yeah.
For me, it's like I know like those cults of sex cults and all that have existed, but like the ones where like people like start to like consider people like, you know, disciples and shit like that. I'm like, how does that still go on? And I'm like watching this girl, like, and she's very good at telling it because she's not one of those, like, I shouldn't shame the other girls that I watch, but she's not like the other girls where they're like, can you believe that? And blah, blah, and like, you know, like crazy reactions goes, I can't even, it's disgust. She's like, she just tells it to you straight. And she's like, you know, and then this, and she's like, and it's crazy because but she doesn't have some wild reaction. So like, you're more like interested in the story versus the crazy reaction. And this girl will be talking about like, and the disciple of blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, did you just say that in 1995, like, and it's wild. And I can't lie, I fucking love it. I love it.
Dude, you should check out the Cult podcast.
I'm gonna watch all of this stuff. The cult podcast. I'm gonna watch Morbid.
The Cult podcast has 3 comedians that do this. They are on episode 257. And it's not like there's 257 cults out there. Sometimes they do talk about like just weird like phenomenon and human following and the human behavior of following things and stuff. But like I used to listen to it until I grew weary of one of the host's delivery on everything being essentially because the use of the word essential was just like, I don't think you know what it means. It's like hearing the dude in Princess Bride say everything's inconceivable. It's so like I was like, I don't think you know what that means if you're going to use it for every sentence. Every explanation that you have is essentially this or essentially that, essentially this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I know I stutter and I have my own weird colloquialisms, but like I try and vary it up and
But also, if you're gonna like be the person that's like talking about podcasts or or whatever, like we don't sit here and say like certain things are like unheard, like that's an unheard of thing in art. It's like, okay, how many unheard of things are there in art then? Like, I get what you I get.
Let's figure that out for next urban legends and toys. Ooh. The Blank Dunny is one of them.
That is an urban legend.
3 years to talk about that too. No, dude, like fucking cult stuff, man. I love watching that shit or listening to it. Like I'll obsess over Scientology just because I'm like, I can't believe the belief, like.
I haven't gotten to that episode. She actually has an episode on the wife, the one that no one knows where she's at.
Oh yeah. But like the Dead Authors podcast, when they had L. Ron Hubbard as an author to interview, hilarious, because the dude that was playing L. Ron Hubbard fucking nailed it 100%, and he nailed it so well that they ended up turning it into a 2-part episode.
Do you want to laugh about L. Ron Hubbard?
Yeah, sure. Like,
okay, so this is a quick fun story about how Nicole almost got murdered by her parents because she brought a book of Scientology back to her house. So okay. I was 14 and I was in England visiting my friend, and there were Scientologists out and about at like a market with the kinetic testing thing or whatever that they do. And I'm again 14. And it says a stress test or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I want to know. So I go up and they're like, oh yeah, okay, so you hold these things, blah 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 blah, and like think of something that's stressing you out, whatever. And it's bullshit, because now that I'm an adult I can talk about how it's bullshit, because as a kid I'm like, oh my god, how'd you know? And it's like, so it's like, oh, think of something that doesn't stress you out, and it's like, yeah, look, see, nothing. And they're like, now change it. Magic.
Yeah, because they're using a primitive lie detector.
And I'm like, wow, okay. So then they had a book there, they were like, and then the book is only 19 pounds, which of course back then that's double the American dollar. Now it's not, but scam the American bitch twice. So I go home with it and I show my mom, and she's like, why the fuck do you have a book of Scientology? And I didn't live with my mom. I lived with my dad at the time. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's from my house. She's like, no, this is against everything that like we believe in. Cause you know, my mom was Catholic. And I was like, no, it's just blah. So then I go to this is like because I came back from England and I wanted to show my mom like the stuff I got, and then I go home to my dad and he's like, "What the fuck is this shit?" Like, so not as nice. He's like, "Get this bullshit out of my fucking house," and I was like, "But mom," I was like, "Why?" Because mom says it's like against our religion. He goes, "I don't care what it's against. This is a fucking cult. Get this shit out of my house." And I'm like, I didn't even get a chance to read it. Like, none of that shit. It was literally one of those like, what is wrong with you, dumb child? And I'm like,
dumb child.
Yeah,
they just answered it right there.
Like literally, like, hello, I'm 14 and I was with my fellow 14-year-old friend walking in a market and they got the kids. They caught up with even if I don't join your cult shit, or if I do, look at that. You just hooked a fucking little kid to join your cult.
So in college, my graphic design professor took us to part of the university's library where we all had to put on white gloves because we were doing bookmaking in graphic design, where we were doing type layout, and page layout, page spreads, and we were going to be typesetting books. And he brought us to this area of the library where, like I said, gloves, because UTEP hosted a beautiful book competition every year or every 2 years. And it was pretty much conceptualized as artists doing limited edition runs of handmade books. And some of them were beautiful, where they had like relief cuts in there, and these people are just they're doing it old school on wood block relief print presses and stuff. And you're just seeing a lot of really cool things. You're seeing some modern things too. And we're looking at dozens and dozens of these really beautifully produced books. And there's a copy of Dianetics. Just a
Dianetics, not Kinetics.
Just a dime store version of Dianetics. And I looked at this and went, Raphael, really? And he does this look for a minute, because he's like, it's not a beautiful book. It shouldn't be here. But his explanation is their goal, because UTEP didn't have a limitation on who could or could not enter this. It was very much an open competition, but the spirit of it is to have artistically created books. But there's always a copy of Dianetics submitted to this, because they can at least get that copy in somebody's hands for a small period of time. Whether or not you agree that it's a beautiful book and whether or not you wanted to open it to look at it, that's irrelevant to the competition. But it matters to them that they were able to put it in hands for just a second. I was like, mind blown. Boom.
Yeah, well,
and
they
so
won they won with me.
So that critical lens was opened up many years, and I was like, wow, that's trippy. And I went and told my dad, I was like, yeah, this happened today. And he's like, that's what cults do. Like, oh.
I wonder if my dad remembers that. Like, I really wonder if he remembers that, because he doesn't remember much, but like, that I think is funny, at least. But I just remember him looking at me like, the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like,
but dude, yeah, like we're watching a cult right now just go haywire right now, and tell me it's not a cult. But I would like to amend something. A couple weeks ago we talked about enjoying Roy Wood Jr. on the Daily Show.
I did.
It was awesome, and I said it was it was probably one of the best weeks. And I was like, everybody else is pretty much like Cal Penn was hilarious too. Like I totally spaced when we were going off when I was praising Roy Wood Jr.'s performance. That Cal Penn had an amazing week on the Daily Show too, and
I still can't forgive him. I watched House a long time ago, and for him to go join fucking Obama in the White House, he had to leave House, which I understood, but his character just randomly committed suicide. I'm like,
but you got. I'm sorry, dude. Would you, if you had a chance to go work in the White House, would you quit your day job to go do that?
yes, but you couldn't have just done anything besides have him kill himself.
Yeah.
His character was not like that. That's why I got very upset. I was
Okay.
very upset.
This week,
I'll never forgive him.
Okay, that sounds fair. This week, I found a new comedian that I ended up right before I got rid of Netflix. I found his Netflix special so I could watch that. And I've watched like every bit I've seen that pops up on my YouTube, which I only watched on Netflix because I found one of his pieces on YouTube where the thumbnail was good enough to actually make me want to click on it, watch it, and go, wow, this dude's funny. I wonder if he has a Netflix special. And he does. So a dude named Romesh, and I'm going to butcher his last name, Rangna Nathan, Ranganaathan. So it's Ranga Nathan. And this dude is from England by way of Sri Lanka, and he's fucking hilarious. Like he talks about
I wanted to watch something funny tonight, so that works.
He talks about his vegan lifestyle, his kids, his just like lifestyle of moving from Sri Lanka to England, how living in England is really different. Yeah, dude's funny, and I don't want to spoil anything.
Thank you, because I'm actually probably going to watch it when I leave here.
Yeah, dude. I'll message you the guy's name, but really funny, and quite pleased with just stumbling upon it. Romesh Ranganathan, and I'm sure I'm sure I'm saying his name wrong, but I've got every letter pronounced. Ranganathan. Romesh Ranganathan. Funny ass dude.
Maybe he'll say it and I'll message you and be like, you got it.
Excellent. But like other than that, like typical news podcasts, political podcasts, and yeah, nothing new besides that.
Yeah, I was like, there's not like nothing crazy. Okay, no, I do need to say, and it's kind of a spoiler, and I don't give a shit because I know you don't watch it. The Love Is Blind finale. It happened today. Yesterday, and I don't usually give a flying fuck about like the couples. Like there's been like one season. I just like to see like, do people really like go through with this shit? And I know apparently arranged marriages like last longer than whatever. I don't care.
Oh gosh, that's topical right now too.
And
fucking gross, but yeah. Sorry to stop that.
They usually prove me right. Like, no, like, you falling in love behind a curtain does not like work out. And this season there was one couple. This sounds so stupid of me. I'm so sorry, because like I know that, like, I'm sorry, this is me being like a typical female. I was watching this couple and I love them together so much. And the husband, Kwambi, he was having a hard time like navigating if he wanted to marry the girl because his mom wasn't on board. And he's from, I can't remember where in Africa, but it's very special and important to have your mother of all people on board. And his
Okay.
mom was like, hell no, like what the fuck, like what kind of marriage nonsense is this? And his sister, hi Lonnie.
Hey, Lonnie.
His sister came in and gave her like a something new or whatever before, like, you know, they went out for the wedding or whatever, or like to do the like do you or don't you shit, because it's like, do you say yes, and the person says like I say yes, and it's like it's so yeah whatever. So she says yes right away. And I was like, I swear to fucking God, and this is me being dramatic, I was like, I swear to fucking God, if he doesn't say yes after his sister did that shit. His sister brought her like a woven beaded purse from their country. And I guess like the symbolism of the pattern is to connect like people, and they like, oh, it was so sweet. And I was like, I swear to God, if this man does not say yes because of his mother after his sister did that, I will fucking kill, like I will throw the television. I don't care how fake this reality TV show is. Like it'll send me through the roof. Send me through the roof. Like and he said yes, and I swear to God, people down the street probably heard me yelling. Yeah, I was so excited. And like this one season I've just gotten invested because this one girl, like, I'm sorry we're talking about this long. This one girl who you know, she found somebody, she picked somebody, they also said I do, and like I had no one was worried about them. She fell asleep in the middle of the first time he was proposing to her.
Was
So
she narcoleptic?
no, but so they film, they have to, you know, like blind date, like the speed round blind date. It's like speed round blind dating because like I don't know what you look like, you don't know what I look like, and they're going like on 15 dates like a day to get like to talk to each person and like make the connection, you know, no, I don't like you know, whatever. So whatever time of day it was for her, whatever, and she fell asleep. And he was so like upset, thinking she doesn't like him, and like, you know, because he's like saying her name and like no answer, nothing. And later on, like when he met her friends, they were like, girl, they're like, boy, in her phone, and like in our phone, she's known as like Sleepy Girl. And I commented on that Instagram post going like, from a fellow sleepy girl, I get it. And she was like, us unite. And I was like, they better get married.
Okay.
Like, just because she was so funny, like this poor girl fell asleep in the middle of her. That was the most real reality TV thing I think ever seen. Like everything is always so scripted. This bitch was like, nah, like y'all have us going through too much. like it was to me, it was like such a real thing, like to a real moment for, you know, such fake shit. It's like this bitch is like, y'all put us production, sorry. Look, you gotta watch some stupid shit when you're literally laying on. Lonnie understands this, when you can't do anything.
Oh, I watch a lot of YouTube when I don't
You
want to
watch.
do anything. I do. Like,
How do you think I found the cult girl?
YouTube?
Exactly.
That's all right. Like, YouTube's artificial intelligence is telling you, hey, you'll like this too. So, like,
I don't fuck up my algorithm by putting in any of that. Like, oh, tell me if somebody won a reality. No. That's for when I'm bored and, oh, Netflix says to watch this. Sure, let's see.
no,
this is stupid.
I really hate like rewarding the algorithm to be like, he did try to get me to watch what you were just talking about last night. Good.
See, Lindsay gets it. Ask Lindsay how she feels about who got married.
No. Wow.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it on the sideline.
Nice. All right. We have been, you know what, we've been doing this for almost 2 hours.
We've just been talking about random
We've been
shit.
just talking about weird shows for the past half hour, which is all right. We talked about
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, everything, like, yeah, anything and everything. Lonnie, have you ever painted an 8-inch dunny before? Lonnie, have you ever painted on a blank one? There you go.
Are you waiting to see if he says?
I am curious. Like, Lonnie showed up late, and I have no idea if he'll go back and watch and then comment on anything. If I rewatch a live thing, I don't comment on it because you don't expect to be.
He said yes.
Yes, you have. So you painted a blank one. You didn't, like, provided by Kid Robot, I assume, right? Or
he's gonna watch this later and be like, "Oh, now I get why they're talking about this."
No, like, if you watch it later, I appreciate it, and I'll say thank you in advance. But like, there you go.
See, so he knows that it's not a myth.
Very cool. All right, so I'll play catch up. But Lonnie, we were trying to, like, somewhere on one of the toy groups that I'm sure we're all in. There was big debate on 8-inch bootleg. Yeah, they are, but they're not out of the realm of reality. But somebody was there was big debate on whether or not somebody owned a bootleg 8-inch version, and I did not want to weigh in on Facebook because I'd rather hit myself in the head with a hammer. But it'll be over faster, and I might think I win. But
well, because everyone on the internet knows more than you do.
Yeah. So I was very much like, I know 8-inch blanks exist, because the general consensus of people who said they didn't exist was Kid Robot never made them, and I was like, no, that's not true. But yeah, they got it on the eBay. It's a fake. I got one on eBay, and Kid Robot verified it was real. So, but that story's about an hour and a half ago. But yeah, I was like, I know they're not. I know they exist, and I'm so glad you came on, just so I used to get them from commissions for people thinking they had blanks. Quality isn't that good. I can see that too. I can see that too. All right.
So I'm sure then from that comment alone, I can tell that Lonnie's in consensus with both of us that if you are using a bootleg, you need to fucking disclose that it is a bootleg as the artist. Not, I mean, right. I'm sure if the collector sends you one and they don't know it, like.
Right. Well, they might know it too, or I don't know. Would you have? I stopped taking them for customs a long time ago. The vinyl isn't as good, isn't that great? Fair enough.
Hey, especially if that means that it's harder and shittier to prime.
That helps seal that goes back to my point that you should know by the touch. If you're familiar enough, you would know by the touch, and clearly Lonnie knows.
Lonnie knows a lot.
Cool. Maybe Lonnie watched a bunch of this show and then decided to come on at the end to fuck with my belief system. Maybe not.
Can he actually do that?
I don't know. Sure.
Can you start it from the bit? No, I mean, like right now that we're live. Can you start it from an earlier point?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I totally do that, especially when I'm watching like Tony Michaels and stuff. Like, I tend to want to watch his stuff like a half hour later, so I could skip through whatever breaks that they do. Because the one thing I don't like about that show is that, like, when he does a break, they cut to a music and do something else, and that audio is always louder than everything else. And so if I can be in control and just skip that, cool. But yeah,
that's why I watch SNL the next day, besides not having television.
There you go. All right, so we've been doing this for 2 hours. I'm gonna call it quits for tonight, so I can, like, my buddy's coming over at 9 tomorrow, so we can finish our Lord of the Rings
in the morning.
Yeah, he was here by 9 o'clock this morning, so we could hit the ground running, so we could be done in time for the show tonight, and so I wouldn't feel like super uncomfortable by.
Oh, wait. What
do we have to do? We have one more thing to do, don't we? Oh yes, of course. All right, Nicole. You have the floor.
Oh dear God. Okay, so on Instagram, I've been watching people do this thing called the Pantone 30-day challenge, and these are oh God, they're postcards. They're fucking postcards. They're awesome, and they are all different, obviously. Someone pick 2 numbers for me to have done, and I'm going to go these are out of 100. So I'm going to count. I'm going to be annoying to myself once this is done, because I'm not going to do this live because it'll take forever. I'm going to count to whatever number you say through 100. Rick picks one, and I don't
19.
know. Okay, so 19, and then I don't know if Dylan is still here. If Dylan is, Dylan and Lonnie can pick one each, and I'll do 3 because I have to do 30. So 19. Let me write this down so I don't forget. And I'll post it up. 16. Jesus Christ. And then if Lonnie's still watching, he picks one. And if not, I'll just go with my number. I like that it's out
So
of
when
100.
does this challenge end?
In 30 days.
Oh, so 30 days starting now. So
29. Cool.
29. There you go. All under 30.
Yeah, so the first few are probably going to be with I'm not even going to play Sharpies, paint pens, easy to access from right now stuff because I can't reach my paints yet until the boot's off. So maybe by the time we get back, I'll have one that's painted.
Cool. Okay. All right. So that. All right. And then I wanted to. Okay. So we are back on the 6th. Okay. Excellent. All right. So we'll be back on the 6th of May.
After Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, gosh. That'll be beautiful. Hey. Cinco de Mayo. We'll party like it's Taco Tuesday. All right. So that being said, thanks everybody for watching in the past, present, and future. Yes, all three are possible.
We love you.
Yep, Lonnie. I hope your recovery is going well. I hope you get your mobility taken care of, and wish you a speedier.
I love you, Lonnie.
Speedy on your recovery. Oh my gosh! All right, so Nicole, people can find you right there.
See, yours can do that. Damn it. I can't. When I try to do it for yours, it's like.
Well, we should do this. All right. Look, we'll do. Hold your hand up. Oh, no, wait. Can't do that. Yeah. Okay. Keep moving your arm. Move your arm. Move your arm. Keep moving. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. And stop. See how that works? All right. Rick Stroh on Instagram. Thanks for thanks for coming by, etc. See you in May. Chowski. Let's see, end the stream.